Is it episode 11?
It's episode 11.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to Season 1, Episode 11 of the Open Door Podcast. I'm Chelsea.
I'm Bedford.
And this is going to be the loudest, most obnoxious podcast that you have ever heard.
Nah, you probably heard louder and more obnoxious, but yeah,
Maybe.
We got some stuff going on. We got neighbors working in their yards. We have our baby here.
We generally have a babysitter for her on the days that we record, but today she is home. And so if you hear Peppa Pig in the background, that is, or anything else, just
Could be lots of things that gonna
fair
happen.
warning. So, all right, that being said, let's go.
Let's get it moving. All right, so we've got our random things I found in the news. The unnecessarily long named segment.
Got it.
We've got two of them.
Okay.
Okay. So, first one. These influencers, which makes me chuckle because I understand the word, right? They named their kid something controversial.
Of course they
And
did.
they got slaughtered for it.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you the name, and I want you to tell me whether you feel like it's justified or just a product of the game. Because honestly, like when you share a lot of stuff, you know what, you get some heat. No matter what, you can't win.
Yeah, I pretty much ever. Go ahead.
But they named their kid Cozy, Koazy, like the cozy kitten, but with a K.
I don't care.
I don't care
Is
either.
my thing. Here's the thing for me. I just feel like, and I could go off on a tangent about this topic for a really long time.
Go in then. Preach.
Yeah. It's interesting because we're, and this is maybe a spoiler alert, but we're actually going to be having a conversation about content creation and making a living, creating content today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of perfect for that. But one of my biggest pet peeves about people on the internet is when they leave really, really rude comments about something that you shared. And then when you say, that was rude, or you try to like stand up for yourself, or even if you don't, but somebody else says something,
Yeah.
what do they say?
They say, well, you're the one that shared your life on the internet.
Correct. They say, you're the one that puts your life out there on the internet. And I'm like, you know what? That's not a justification to be unkind to someone, because existing on the internet is the exact same thing as existing out in public. It's the exact same thing as existing out at the grocery store. It's exactly the same as going out to dinner. And no one ever stops me and says, ma'am, I think you're ugly.
Yeah.
Not a chance. Not one time. Because that is considered bullying. That is considered inappropriate behavior. But for whatever reason,
it's okay to get that.
It's
on a
okay to
keyboard.
do it online.
Mm-hmm.
And then people justify that poor behavior by saying, well, you put it out there. And it's like, no, you just want to hide behind that to be a rude person. So here's my thing. And do I think that that's a great name?
I personally hate it with all my soul.
Certainly, I would not name my child that. That is just my preference.
Yep.
However, I don't think that just because you have a platform that people have the right to tell you that they hate your baby's name. Like, you know what? If we are close friends or family and you choose to be like, nah, that's not my favorite name, then we're having a different conversation. But just because you see something online that you don't like, you don't need to say anything.
See, it's kind of weird because in life, right? And maybe I'll take the social media side of it out for a second. If I have a friend that I'm cool with, like real close, some of my best friends, and they named their kid Cozy with a K, Oazy, I'd be like, yeah, it's a terrible name, my man. I hate it. And that's okay. I'm allowed to give them that feedback. We built that relationship of trust.
Or you think about when we were naming our kids, and I remember very specific times where we would be sitting at your family's dinner table or my family's dinner table. We'd be talking about baby names, and our siblings would be like, nah, no. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Just very blatantly, like, no, I don't like it. That's also why people don't disclose what they're naming their baby until after they name their baby, because they don't care.
Maybe these guys should have. But
maybe.
So let me finish my thought though, because my idea is like a stranger. I don't even care. I don't care enough. I'd be like, oh, cool, and that's it. I keep moving. And if they asked very specific questions, they would get a very specific answer. But other than that, we moving on.
Because that's the thing is, like, people online, they care about so many things that they don't need to care about. And sometimes I just think to myself, who has the mental emotional space for that? Because I know that I don't. I do not have the mental emotional stamina or space to care about things that do not affect me in any way. But for whatever reason, people online just, it's like they can't help themselves.
Yeah,
But I mean, let's be honest, that's why we make money, and so we're gonna take it.
And
But
that's the thing. That's like, I will never complain about, because we get some stuff that's just rough, and
Y'all.
we get a lot of crazy. It's just tough mentally if you go through all the comments and stuff. You get yourself weighed down. Now at the same time, if I'm not getting any of those comments, it probably means I'm not making no money. And so
Correct.
for me, I've been able to literally segment or compartmentalize in my brain and go, ooh, I need that. And so if I'm getting some heat for having ashy knees, because that's actually what set this off. Our platform
one of the things that took
Took
off was that we were leaving on vacation. And before we left on vacation, so every time we go on vacation, we pop open the trunk of our car, we all sit at the back, and we take a picture. And this was our
normally
first
our
one.
first one on our summer vacation, a very specific one. We actually do it on other vacations too.
Yeah,
but
we do. So on this one, Bedford was like rushing to get a bunch of yard work done. And I was like, let's go. He literally quits his yard work, comes over, we take our picture, we get in the car, we take off. I post this photo. We get eaten alive
I'm
because
getting obliterated. Boy got ashy
no,
knees.
listen,
And you got obliterated too.
I got obliterated because I did not force my grown man husband to put lotion on his own freaking legs. I got eaten alive, and like everybody was hating on his legs. And I think that was one of the first times that we had something take off in such a negative way. And it felt kind of crazy. Like it was kind of like, wait a second. Actually, I mean,
No, it wasn't the first time, but it was the first time on Instagram.
yeah.
And I think for us, it was like, yo, that kind of sucks. And then we got a deal afterwards and it was like, oh.
Yeah. So it's both. But I just cannot and will never understand people that feel the need to be like, just so you know, I hate your baby's name.
Yeah.
Like, it took you longer to comment that than it did for you to scroll. Like, you could have just scrolled, but for whatever reason, you had to let those people know that you hated their baby's name. And the chances are that they're probably never even going to see your comment.
Oh, well, apparently they did because they posted all about it and she's all sad and crying. And I'm like, well, okay,
But
you'll
honestly-
never catch us on that side of it either.
No, but here's the
Look,
thing.
If you're going to post your baby's name and it's a trash name, you might get some heat for it. That's all there is. That's how it works.
But that doesn't mean it's okay.
It's not
And
okay,
we've had this
but-
conversation recently because I've been catching a lot of heat in our comment section because I look older than Bedford. Okay?
She's not.
No, I'm not. I'm 2 years younger, and people, black don't crack. That situation is
Yeah, I'm
killing
looking delicious.
me.
I'm looking
Killing
good, ain't
me.
it? And you looking good too. You look great.
Thanks, babe.
9 out of that. Nines
and dimes.
Nines and dimes. That's what I tell my sons. Nines and dimes,
Yeah.
sons. Nines and dimes.
So here's the thing though. I get a million comments lately about how he married his grandma, or like I just look old, and honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say, for the most part, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, it doesn't really change how I feel about myself. But what I will say is that it is mentally, emotionally exhausting. Every single time I open my phone to have comments about how I look and like have people, it honestly, it just gets really old. And so you think about it, like you have this platform and you put your baby's name out there, and your baby, like having a baby is so special. And for whatever reason, that's the name that is special to you, and you guys love it, and that's fine, and that's your business. But then just to have it completely slaughtered by rude people on the internet that have no self-control, like, I get it. It's a double-edged thing. But again,
they're making
I'm
a ton
not,
of money, and there's a reason why I found
Sure.
the article online. So props to you guys. You probably made what we made last year this month. So
correct. All right, what's the next one?
All right, next one. Let me pull it up. I don't even remember what it is. Let's see here. Oh my goodness, do I know this one?
Okay.
It's about a wedding.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's about a wedding. So, bride and groom decide to get married. COVID comes.
Yeah.
Okay, messes up the wedding a couple times. They got to push it back. Oh, we're social distancing. Can't get together. No celebrations. Venue cancels. Whatever. They cancel a couple
Sure.
times. Couple years later, actually just recently, Wedding is on. It's on like Donkey Kong, right?
Gosh, years.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they probably live together. This ain't like the LDS culture where it's like,
I know, but it's like you already had everything planned, and then that just
they had
anyways.
to redo it anyway. So Wedding's back on.
Okay.
They invite 75 people digitally. They invite 25 people, and when they show up to their own wedding, guess how many people are there?
75.
5.
5 people.
5 people showed up. What would I give to be one of the waiters in that room? Because I don't think I could handle that situation very well. I'm not going to lie to you. I would be giggling.
I mean, you can't really blame the guests because their guests are probably like, I don't know, this is probably going to get canceled. But
apparently she had been calling, hey, do you got your outfit? And, and following up. All it is, for me, I'm looking at the situation and it looks like they just don't know who their people are.
that is always the worst. I have said so many times that like having babies or getting married or having like a tragedy in your life, those are all moments where you really realize who your people are. Now, aside from the fact that, some people utilize tragedy to become the center of attention, right? But the people that show up during those times are your people.
Yep.
And nobody else matters. Like I don't know. I've had friends in my life that I thought were my best friends. And then when I've done some of the most important things in my life, they just were nowhere to be found. And it just says a lot about how much you mean to them. And so that sucks, but also very eye-opening.
Yeah, so that's kind of what happened. They were like, oh, snap, we invited 100 people. We made 25 very special invitations. I don't know what that means. But they got there. 5 people showed up. They made the best of it is what they said. And the bride was like, yeah, I haven't even gotten excuses from people, which I'm fine with. I'm just cutting everybody out, which is the right decision.
I'm a cutter.
You should have been cut them. Like they done cut themselves.
I'm a cutter, and sometimes preemptively. I would say.
Oh, you're aggressive.
I'm aggressive. I'm really stingy with my energy. I don't have a lot to offer people. I have a really small social battery. I'm a deep, deep, deep lover. I love very deeply and I care about people a lot. But because of that, I don't have a lot to give. And so if you're taking more from me than you're giving and I'm giving you everything I've got, cut.
Yeah. I'm the exact opposite. I don't let nobody get close. Like nobody's really, really close. And then at the same time, because everybody's at a distance, I don't really mind keeping them there. If I do end up cutting you, though, you messed up.
Yeah, Bedford.
And so that's it. That's all. If I do end up deciding like we're done, like you literally don't exist on this earth to me.
But I think it's a little bit different. Because for women, you can kind of just slowly distance your relationship, and that's kind of how things go. Is I'm kind of just like, nah, like I don't know. You just don't invest as much time. But I feel like in your situation, we've only had maybe one time in our friendship. Yeah, but in the time we've been together, where it's been like, no, we absolutely are not friends. We're not speaking anymore.
One time to Jay Paulo. He's one of them.
So,
I probably shouldn't have said his name. I'll bleep that out. Or not. I don't care. He ain't going to see it.
Yeah, probably not. But anyway, so I just think like that sucks, just to put so much time and effort and probably money into making sure that you have enough food and you have all of these things. But what an experience to really figure out who your people are. Yeah. So
that's the half glass full way to look at it. Like, ooh, I know who my homies are. They're these 5 people right here. These are my guys.
The people that showed up. Right.
And imagine being on that list if you didn't want to be on that list.
Oh, yeah.
Like I could see myself being drugged to a wedding. Like, yeah, hey, we got to go. I'm like, I'm not trying to go. And now all of a sudden now I'm the groom's best friend because nobody else showed up. I'd be furious.
You would be.
Oh, I'd be like,
not like that.
This is not good, Chelsea. I knew we shouldn't have been here.
You would not like that. I can see that happening.
Okay, so that's it for random stuff I found in the news. The unnecessarily long named segment. We got to do accountability real quick.
Hurry it up.
Real quick.
Hurry it up.
Okay. I am still good. It's been 2 weeks. No milk, no cheese, lactose free.
Congratulations.
Proud of myself.
Congratulations.
I went and did something.
You did.
Yeah, I went and bought some, what do they call it? Lactose free, milk free ice cream.
He hasn't eaten it yet.
I have. I had some yesterday.
How'd it go?
Yeah.
All right.
Look, the flavors are good. The flavors on point. This is going to be a change, okay?
Yeah.
What I'm hoping it's going to be like is when I finally started drinking oat milk, And at first I was like, man, I can't be eating my cereal. The Frosted Flakes don't taste right without regular milk.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, it just tastes regular.
This is what I will say is that, so when I was counting macros, I was using Halo Top ice cream, and eating it by itself was a no-go. Like, you could not eat Halo Top ice cream on its own. However, I mean, I'm sure people do, but I could not. However, if I put it on top of like a brownie, or I had it with a cookie, or I actually at that time put it on top of my pancakes, like I made chocolate pancakes,
yeah,
and then I would put it on top of that. Then it was divine. But by itself,
turns out milk
didn't
is really
really-
important for ice cream.
turns out.
And you know what, I'm gonna put some grace. This is why I didn't say the name of the brand, because I'm not writing you off, because I think we might have something here. The texture was a little bit off. The flavor profile was pretty good. It just wasn't a flavor that I like. Okay, I bought it because of all the other choices.
That one seemed
That
the
one
best.
seemed like the best, but I could see myself not liking that regular. So
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna give it another go with the same brand. This isn't like a Lactaid situation where I'm just gonna put the brand on blast and say it's terrible.
yeah.
Because I have some hope. I believe.
Okay.
I believe I can ice cream. Yeah, I'm done. I'm just gonna stop.
We're
right
gonna
there.
have to cut.
Ice cream. Yeah, they know what I was talking about. It's
Yeah,
fine.
everyone knows. Okay. Here we go, everyone. Today's episode, we are talking about content creation, maybe where we started, why we do content creation, what we love about it. But more than that, the topic of conversation is going to be what is important if you want to make a living as a content creator, where to start. We get that question all the time, especially because if you don't know, Bedford quit his job. Well, he got laid off.
I didn't quit. They let me go.
Yeah, but here's the
it is what it
thing.
is.
Bedford's been in sales for years and years and years, like ever since we got married pretty much. And he has gotten laid off because that's how sales work. They hire
Yeah.
a billion people, and then right before you're supposed to get paid your commission, they just cut you. And this last time I was like, you know what? I'm done. I make enough money that we can maybe get by, but with the two of us, I think we can really like get
Ramp it
some
up.
stuff done.
You can crank it.
And we have. And so in May, right?
May.
May.
Yep. May 15th.
Bedford got laid off, and I just said, like, I'm done betting on somebody else. We're just going to bet on us. And this is all we've been doing. And it's honestly been working way better than I anticipated
Yeah.
that it would.
It's like, oh snap, we should have done this forever ago. Who'd have thought?
But also it's because I changed from a scarcity mindset to like a plentiful mindset. Like, everything is there for me.
Yep.
And I feel like everything is good, and even when it's stressful, like things are working out. So I guess real quick, the preface of it is that I actually started as a blogger.
Yep.
So I was blogging for the Huffington Post in their divorce category in 2013.
Forever ago. 2013?
2014.
Something like that.
Yeah, so in 2014, I was blogging for the Huffington Post, and I blogged specifically about divorce. I was a hot topic blogger, so I blogged about, race and divorce and infidelity and things like that.
Of course, the hot topics that apply to her,
Correct.
not necessarily just
Yeah,
I'm
just-
a snag a topic, but like it's
Yeah.
all the same stuff you see on our platform, right? Everything, literally the exact same stuff.
Correct. It was, the stuff that I had lived and the stuff that I experienced. And so the hard part about that is that I was definitely like a one and done blogger. Like once you read the article, there was no reason to reference back. I wasn't a food blogger. I wasn't an exercise blogger. So I had to get a lot of eyes. And so blogs, especially that type of blog, kind of just died away.
When Vines came out, and our attention span went from 0 to actually 100 to 0, not 0 to 100.
Correct.
Like, oh, we could totally read this blog. I ain't read a blog since. I don't even
No.
like even the cooking blogs. I scroll down to the recipe and that's it.
Right. Literally like take me to the recipe. And so for me, I really love writing. I really love words. And so I started an Instagram purely to try to filter people to my blog. When that didn't work, I started moving into a fitness category. I really loved working out at that time. And I, tried the fitness blogging or fitness influencer situation. That sucked, just for the record.
I mean, I just wasn't for you. Okay, like now if you
I'm saying it sucked for me. I hated
all
it.
right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, and you got to really show your stuff. You know what I'm talking about? If you're a
Literally.
girl and you're not real upright, and the angles aren't just right.
Well,
Look,
and
if
I
you're
think
not
that
if you're not
there's-
watching this podcast, seeing what I'm doing right now,
wow, that's
you're
impressive.
missing out.
I think it's actually gotten better since then, right? So since 2014, like in the last 10 years, I would say that the fitness influencer category has gotten better. I feel like there's a more broad range for people who are trying to help you heal your pelvic floor. There's people that, are very honest about like their bodies. And, I really think it's gotten healthier. But at that time, I didn't really want to discuss like food and dietary things and nutrition. Like, anyway, so that didn't work. So what I did is I went back and I looked at my account and I realized that the content that was popping, which at that time, Instagram was only photo.
Yep.
And it was always our Sunday photo. We've taken a Sunday family picture pretty much every Sunday for 10 years.
For 10 years. There was 1 year where we kind of didn't for like 7 months. And
I had horrible postpartum depression.
not a great time because now we missed out on like all of Naomi's baby's pictures.
Correct.
But, moving on.
Correct. But so I was like, you know what? Apparently this is what people want to see. So we started posting more family photos. We started, sharing a little bit more about our life and being a little bit more vulnerable with, some of the topics that people don't really want to talk about, like infidelity and race and things like that. And that's when everything started to take off. So we've been a family account since then. And it's been probably 5 years since I just started trying to do family content. But maybe
I think too, like to make sure, it's probably been 5 years of just building content and building stuff that wasn't paying. We gotta dive back because the whole reason that Chelsea was blogging and the whole reason she started doing something was actually much deeper than just, hey, we're trying to get a lot of follows, or we want a lot
I
of
really
people
didn't
to
think
read
I
stuff.
would ever get any followers, really.
Yeah, you gotta talk about the core. Like, why was it that you started doing it?
I just wanted to do something for myself.
Yep.
I feel like I got really lost in
We had 3 kids at the time. And
2. We only had Rye and Jax, and but Riker was 8 weeks premature, and I wasn't really allowed to leave the house with him because he was so small and it was cold outside. And Bedford was in school full time, Andy was working full time, and I lived in my in-laws' basement, and it was dark and cold, and
it was way dark. And
I was
cold down there.
really freaking lonely down there, and I just felt myself like losing who I was, and I just wanted to. I journaled a lot as a kid. I always kind of expressed myself through writing, and so I decided to start a blog, and we saw some pretty crazy successes through blogging.
But meanwhile, like, we haven't made a dime.
No, and we didn't make money.
We never even thought about making a dime.
No, it was really just an outlet for me to be able to have something aside from motherhood and aside from being a wife and a homemaker. So that's why I started, and money wasn't it. It was very satisfying for me. It was very fulfilling for me. Even to have 5 people read my blog was very fulfilling. Yep. It gave me a community and a sense of connection to other people because I never saw anybody except for my baby and my 3-year-old. And
sometimes me, like,
yeah,
but like the word
very
sometimes
rarely.
is very, very accurate because I was working full time, had what?
18 credit hours.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot. And so that's why I started. And I'm going to just say that for the first 3 years of that, I made nothing.
So for 3 years, I'm just being a good husband. It's like, yeah, I'll be in these pics, and I love the stories. I'm trying to support my wife. Actually, I was like, you need to do something for you. I'm doing all these things that aren't necessarily for me, but I do get either some sort of grade or paycheck. I get some sort of feedback that I'm useful to people.
There was
in
a
some
quid
sort of way.
pro quo of some kind.
And she's over here just like getting nothing because kids be like that, right?
Yes.
It's not, kids.
You make them their lunch. They don't like it. You clean up their room. They just dump everything back out. Like,
you get your rewards with kids sometime later. I've got 5. We're waiting on that. But, and so, I was like, look, good on you. But after a while, I was kind of like I'm the stereotypical, like, do we have to take another family pictures?
Yes. Lots of complaining.
And
I'd be like, before anybody can go do anything, like, we'd go to the pool, and I'd say, okay, before everybody can go get in the pool, we have to take a picture. And Bedford would be like, come on. Like,
you're ruining the kids' fun.
And I was like, shut your mouth. We're going to take this freaking picture.
So I remember the first time, though, that things kind of changed and our focus changed a tiny bit. Chelsea gets this email, and it's from a big diaper brand. Is it Pampers? Mm-hmm. It was Pampers, right? And we're actually just about to leave on vacation.
We're going camping.
This is literally the same time that my ashy knees are starting to blow up, too.
About there.
Yeah, in fact, it might have been because of ashy knees. Actually, I think that's actually... that might line up.
Maybe.
And that might line up really well. But we're on vacation. Pampers reaches out and says, "Hey, we want to do an ad." And Chelsea's like, "Well, somebody wants to do an ad." She's got like 5,000 followers, maybe 7. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. We'll just send them an email back." She's like, "Well, you're the one that has the job negotiating with people. Why don't you email back?" And I'm like, "All right, bet I got this." And so she was like, "Okay, who is it?" She's like, "It's Pampers." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I look at what they want. I'm like, "Okay, they really just want one pick?" She's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, what if we aren't good enough to do it?" I'm like, "Well, then we probably should say a number that's stupid. And then we'll figure it out if they say yes." So I send back the email, and I can't remember what I said. Was it $1,500?
I think it was $2,000.
It was like $2,000. Like, we'll do it for $2,000. Like, this is a stupid number, Chelsea. They're going to say no, or they're going to say yes, and we might need to haggle it down to like $700 or something like that. They said yes so fast that it pissed me off. They were like, "Absolutely." And I was like, "What? Like, you're just going to take my first offer like that?" Because, if you're in negotiations, if someone takes your first offer, you screwed up. You left money on the table.
100%.
So now I'm like mad for the rest of the trip because I undersold myself. I didn't even know. And then all of a sudden it clicked. It was like, yo, Chelsea just made what I made in like 3 weeks with one picture. And it took her years to build the platform. But
well, even between that, so that was after I had Naomi, and there was even a period after that where I had been stuck around, even after that, I had been stuck around 30,000 followers.
3. Not
what?
30.
No, I'm saying after this.
Oh, after this.
Yeah.
After
so
this,
even
okay.
after that, this wasn't like the turning point where we were like, okay, gosh, we can make $2,000 with an ad. Like, let's go. And then we just took it because we didn't.
That was the first time I stopped complaining about pictures. Though. I was like, all right, you know what? She's like, "Hey, we need to take these pictures." Like, "Oh, y'all kids line up right now. Okay. Every one of y'all, we need to line up." So,
at the end of the day, it was very but even after that, there was a point where I was like, do I even want to do this? Because I can't get past 30,000 followers. I'm not bringing in any money.
Yep.
I'm spending so much time doing this. And at one point, Bedford was like, it's a cute hobby. And I was like, I'm going to punt it. We were laying in bed one night. And I don't think he remembers it,
I remember it. And I remember the context of the conversation.
But when I knew how much time I was putting in, and then he was like, well, it's a cute hobby, but maybe you need to put your time elsewhere. And it was heavy. And so even after that, we've had moments where it's been like, okay, maybe this isn't working. But I've just kind of decided to stick it through and make it work. And now this is our full-time job. This is all we do. Oh, the baby's coming in. Okay, right. Come sit down quiet, okay?
You gotta be quiet though, okay?
If you follow our account, you know that this is just kind of how things go here. When we started talking about doing a podcast, we were like, well, maybe we're not ready because we don't have a soundproof room and we don't have this and we don't have that and we have a million kids.
Yep.
So maybe we should wait. And then we were like, nah, let's just do it. And so this is our real life. If you hear the baby, you hear the baby.
We've done a really good job of getting sitters and stuff, but...
Well, we usually have a standing sitter, but she's not available today. So Sissy's here. So anyways, I think, obviously now this is all we do. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that we're living a thriving life right now because we've only been doing it for 6 months. But what I will say is that our success rate in that 6 months has been absolutely incredible. And I can only see next year being better and the next year being better and the next year being better. So maybe let's now just kind of talk about if someone wants to be a content creator, where should they start?
Okay. If you want to be a content creator, you need to start with something you love for free.
For a long time,
for
potentially.
Free
99.
Yeah. So, because here's the thing. If you don't love it and you don't love the process of doing all the work, because I promise you, it's a ton of work. Like we joked about this last podcast, I probably spend, just even on this podcast, probably somewhere around podcast, nothing else alone, 20, 25 hours a week on the podcast. There's not a lot of return on that right now. And we know that. We understand it, right? There's probably going to be 58 of you that watch this on YouTube, and we're cool with it. We know, right? But we understand that, like, if we love doing it, we'll find the people that love us eventually, okay? And if not, that's okay. But, like, you have to love the process, because if you do it for any other reason than loving the process, you're going to quit and you're going to burn yourself out.
I think you have to consider it like any other business, right? So any business that starts up has a product, and they love that product so much, and they have probably invested so much of their time and their money into creating that product.
Some of these products are like they're blindly obsessed with their product.
100%.
Sometimes other people outside would be like, you're crazy.
But then they're not just turning around and selling that product successfully for $50 a piece the first day that they create it. They're handing it out for free. They're reaching out to influencers and asking if they can gift them the product and see if they can get a review from it. They're marketing for free. They're doing Kickstarters, right? Like there's a process to success, because you have to prove to people that your product is valuable and that it's worth their money. And it's the same with influencers, right? We make our money from brands and affiliate partnerships, and you have to prove that what they are about to pay you is going to give them what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do that. So part of the process, building a community, building a place on the internet that, brands can help you market to, that's the free part.
Yeah. And quite frankly, you have to find a way to make it fun, and you have to find a way to make it exciting. Like Chelsea had, first off, the biggest thing about her platform is, and first she could, the great thing is I was working at the time. So she had 7 years to do whatever she wanted to and not make any money, and that was fine, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, she was taking, the wins that she was taking was comments from people in France that said, hey, I learned about your guys' relationship, and I'm going to go and propose to my spouse. We're in an interracial relationship, and I think we could do it now because of you. And Chelsea would be like, holy cow, that's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And it was. And then the same people in France, literally 2 years later, like, this is our baby. And we're like, what in the world?
Yeah. Or like little old ladies will send me pictures of their grandkids, and they like, I had this lady message me and say, my daughter married a black man, and I was a little bit nervous about like the criticism that they would receive as a couple and the cultural differences. And she was like, but since I've been following you, I just am so excited for them, and I just like feel so positive for them. And then that same lady sent me a picture of her grandbaby years later. Some people will reach out and say like, oh, no. Some people will reach out and they'll say like, I can't believe that Maya is 7. I remember when she was born. And It's kind of like, wow, like we really have created like a very deep rooted community.
Or you have so many ladies specifically, and some men, but more so women, who have gone through a divorce or been through infidelity, and like, once a month we'll run into one of these wonderful people that kind of talk up to Chelsea about, hey, look, I didn't have nobody else. The reason why I thought I could make it is because of you. And if you're listening to the podcast, y'all just get the video, because our baby's literally being
kicked in the face.
Yeah, so that's why I'm giggling. It has nothing to do with divorce.
All right, so you're going to pick something that you're passionate enough about that you can talk about for years, 5 times a week. And you can diversify it to be so that you're having, because like you think about it, is it sustainable? I'm actually in this phase right now where I'm like, okay, I'm creating so much content between Instagram and TikTok and the podcast.
And YouTube.
And YouTube and
Facebook.
Yes. And
Spotify.
How do I create enough content that I can diversify across those platforms, that I can continue to do this for the next 5 years? Is it sustainable? And so when we restarted after the fitness situation or the fitness niche came to a close, we started by saying, okay, we want to be a family account. And these are the pillars that we want to talk about. We want to talk about being an interracial family. We want to talk about being a blended family, which means yours, mine, and ours, right?
Yep.
In any variation. And then we want to, and whatever falls under those. So we can talk about talking to your kids about race and racism and inclusion and diversity and those types of things. We can also talk about co-parenting and step-parent, step-child relationships and, like half sibling relationships and what that looks like. So, that's kind of where we started.
Yep. So if you want to start, what you got to do, first things first, real easy. Pick your topic.
What do I love?
Niche it down, right?
What could if I went out with a friend, what could I sit and talk to them about for hours?
Yep.
Okay. That's a good question to ask yourself. So the next thing, and we get a lot of questions about this part, is how do you make money?
Yeah.
So,
what's the easiest way to the money? First, you're not doing it for the money because it won't come if you do. I promise you that. If you are doing it because you want the money first, you will get tuckered out well before that happens.
But if you're saying eventually I want this to be my full-time job, eventually I would like to be able to have this support my family. If that's your goal, yes, number one, you need to recognize I'm going to have to do this for free for a long time. Again, it's because I'm building eyes, right?
Yep.
I'm building an audience. I'm creating a community that is A, fulfilling, and then B, people that I can market to, because our number one source of income is brand deals.
Yep. So we'll have brands reach out just like Pampers did and plenty others that I'm sure you have seen if you follow Chelsea on the Instagram, Life with the Doors. And they'll reach out and say, hey, we'll pay you X amount of money to promote our product. And we'll go back and forth, have a conversation about what that looks like, what kind of legal things we can't say what it is that they want us to do. They oftentimes will get a draft of the video and then we'll provide some feedback, go back and forth. And then, we hit a due date, we get our thing posted up, and then they'll pay. Now, that pay is based specifically and directly on how much they hope or can reasonably expect to see their ad being seen. Now, there's a little bit of a equation that kind of goes into that because, quite frankly, everybody knows that an ad does not perform the same way as most other things that you post on your...
By far and away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like, your average video could get 70,000 views and then your ad could get 2,000. Like, it's not... That's why, like, when we share ads, I will post it in my stories and say, like, hey, any engagement is appreciated, because I know that, like, people don't want to engage on ads.
Yeah, they're not here for the ad.
But I will say that I've had a lot of jobs from the time that I was 14 until now. And this is by far the most time-consuming job. I have never worked more hours in my entire life. People, like, I actually saw a comment today that said, like, they were talking about Emily Kaiser. She is, like, huge on TikTok.
Okay.
And future
podcast guest.
Yeah, I hope so. But they were talking about Emily. She's the best. She's so sweet. She's so cute. But somebody had posted a video and said, like, me in my 2004 car that can barely get me to and from my 9-to-5 job, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, like, Emily's unboxing a gifted thing for her baby from Dior, right?
Yeah.
And Emily commented, and she said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My content is never made to hurt anybody's feelings or make anybody feel bad. Like, you're doing great. Well, then somebody commented under that and said, you've worked really hard to get to where you are. Congratulations. You don't need to apologize to anybody. Somebody under that said, she doesn't work hard. She should get a real job.
Ooh.
Which, number one.
Good luck figuring that out.
Number one, she makes more money than you, probably times 5. I don't even need to know what you do for a living. I know what I do.
Frankly, we don't even know how much she really makes.
No,
but.
I'm just saying that she makes plenty of money. Okay. But there's just this stereotype that content creators just take cute videos and they take cute photos and then they just make so much money, and like that, that could not be further from the truth. I mean, we are working 8-hour days.
Easy.
Maybe 10,
Easy.
Maybe 12. Bedford didn't come to bed a couple nights ago until like 1 o'clock in the morning, editing the podcast.
Easy. Like the work is ridiculous. And it's always on, right? It's pretty much like somebody that we know kind of labeled it like, you guys are running your own business.
100% we are.
And
1000%.
that includes like managing your cash flow,
Yes.
Managing your hours, making sure that you hit deadlines. We are literally going through legal processes all the time to make sure that we, dot our I's, cross our T's.
100%. Right? And I will say that now I have a manager. Shout out to Lily. We love Lily.
One time, Lily.
I have a manager who works with an agency that manages all of my contracts. And they bring in new business for me. When people reach out and say, hey, we'd like to work together, she says, okay, great. Here is her rate card. Here are all of her statistics. Like, these are some recent ads that she's done, and this is how they've performed. And then they negotiate. And then after they negotiate, then they have a legal team that reviews it for me. And then they say, okay, you're good to sign. And I sign. And then after that, I have like a calendar that I need to go through and make sure that I'm doing everything on time, that I'm sending everything in. I have meetings, I have brand calls where we get on the phone and they say, okay, this is kind of what we want it to look like. Here's some inspiration for it.
I think tomorrow we're going to go see Facebook's coming to us technically, but not.
Yeah, we have a meeting with Meta tomorrow. We have to go to Salt Lake for it, and we're going to
with other people. We're not that cool.
Yeah, but it's a big group meeting, but they're paying us to come and to participate and take in the information and share it, right? And so I want to make sure that, we're clear here that we're really picky about ads. Like, there's been a few ads where they've reached out and said, hey, we'd like you to do this. And we say that really doesn't align with us. It wouldn't make any sense for us to market that. So we just don't.
There's been a few times where we've even said, yes, we'll absolutely share your product or whatever. And then they came back and sent us the product and we're like, this is absolute garbage.
We will not market this.
We
will send it back to you.
Can't do it. I can't share this with my people. My people ain't gonna trust me if I share this.
Especially, as of recent, we had a contract that was paying out $7,000, and but on the phone with the brand, I just thought, this is such a poor experience, and if I refer people to it, even if they could use the product, the experience is so horrible that I would never want this experience for myself, and I cannot ask anybody to have this experience. And so we just said no.
And it was already a product that we're kind of meh about. They were like, hey, we want to do this. We'll give it to you for free, obviously, and we're going to pay $7,000 for you to share it with your group. And we're like, all right, fine.
But then after the brand call,
like, yeah, no, please, we're good. And I think we even saw them in person. We were kind of like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, and it was just a no. Like, we were not interested. And so, I would say we share quite a few ads, but I will say that all of the ads that we share are products that I would spend my own money on.
Absolutely.
Products that we use on a regular basis, products that we already have in our home, etc. And so, but that's kind of how the process works. So, people ask, like, should I get a manager then? No. If you are not inundated with emails to the point where you're like, I cannot keep up,
you don't need a manager.
You do not need a manager. Okay. But so then after that, you start brainstorming, like, okay, what different types of content could I create underneath the umbrella of the things that I've decided I'm passionate about? Because you don't want to be all over the place to where it's like, okay,
people don't know what to expect.
They don't know what to expect when they come to your page. But you do want to have a broad enough spectrum of things that you, again, can sustain. And then you start creating that content.
Yeah. So for example, we're in this process right now. Chelsea has an established account, 100,000 followers. Hooray, you did it. Woo, we're proud of you. We did balloons. When we decided to do this full time, Lily, our well-esteemed manager, who is highly respected and well-regarded, and respected by her friends and peers. We love Lily. She's great. But she said, hey, Bedford, you should build your own account. I'm like, I don't know that I want to do that. Because I've seen Chelsea do it. I was like, woo. And I already know y'all like me. Okay.
Everybody loves
as a
Bedford.
comedic relief, but like, I'm good kind of as the sidekick, right? And so Lily says, you need to build your account. I'm like, all right, fine. Because I trust Lily. Lily's wonderful. So we decided, hey, we're going to do it. And so we had to literally have this conversation. I'm like, Chelsea, you know what I want to do? I want to do a golf account. That's what I want to do. Then I realized, you know how much time I need to play golf to make golf content? It's a lot of time. Can I consistently do that over the winter in Utah with 5 kids?
Is it
and
sustainable?
full time? Is it sustainable? It's like, nah, it ain't. It's like, what is something that I actually have, I have and can do that is going to be sustainable long term? We had to decide. It was
Turns
like,
out he has a wife and kids.
yeah,
And
they're with me all the time.
Yep. He makes fun of me frequently
Yeah.
online, and people just get a giant kick out of that.
I don't only make funny. There's some positive things too. And we roast the kids and stuff like that. It's fun. But, I had to decide, like, this is something like, would I love to build a golf account, travel and hit golf? Yeah.
Rick Shields. He would love to be Rick
Yeah,
Shields.
Rick, I feel you. Future member of the podcast. He ain't coming. But would I love to do that? Absolutely. Do I think I could do that and be successful? I actually really do. I don't think that it's super impossible to do now that we know it. We just know that it takes time, and you just know that if you don't quit, it will work.
Yes.
Now, not quitting might mean working for free for 7 years.
You guys, and that's exactly what I did. There were a lot of times that people would say like, oh, well, that's cute or that's fun. And I'm like, I mean, yes, but also it's really freaking hard.
Yep.
And I went 6 years getting pretty much zero credit for how hard I was working, and for how much time I was putting into things. And just listening to people call it a hobby, and then constantly asking myself, like, can I really do this? Because people keep thinking that it's just like this fun thing that I do on the side.
That isn't actually that fun.
Especially when it's giving me nothing in return. But consistency and the willingness to be like, okay, well, sure, that got like 6 likes, because that also is really hard. Putting so much work into something and then having it flop and having it be like, okay, cool, it got 2,000 views.
No reason sometimes.
No reason. Okay. It's just maybe the algorithm, maybe like during the election time, everything was really low because everybody was focused on other things,
and
right?
we didn't talk about it specifically
Exactly.
and purposefully.
On purpose. But that's really hard too, is to see other people around you getting 26,000 likes in 3 hours. And then you're like, okay, cool. Well, I spent 4 hours creating that content, and then I put it up there and it got 6.5 likes, and it's been up for 7 days. So that's great. Like, there is nothing less fulfilling than that process. Like,
And
it
it's
is
deflating.
exhausting.
But that's the process, like being able to just, in basketball, they always say like real shooters just shoot.
Yes.
You have to have a short memory if you're going to be a good baller. If you're going to be good at social media, you got to have a short memory, and you got to keep shooting.
Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about really fast, because we got to get our kids from school. Because again, guys, listen, we live this life of hectic all over the place.
Gotta get these kids.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is, because we kind of touched on it in the beginning, is kind of how to survive like the negative feedback, because you're going to get it.
Yeah,
okay?
it's coming.
In the beginning,
Your account
it
will not
used to
grow
make me
without
cry.
it.
In the beginning, I'm not a crier, okay? I cry when I'm really angry in comparison to feeling really sad. I am more likely to cry because I'm angry, and I'm just not a crier. But in the beginning, it made me cry, I don't know, maybe once a month, twice a month.
Too often.
Yeah, and it really, really, really hurt my feelings, because I was like, my intentions are really good, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not trying to make anybody mad, and everybody's mad, and they hate me. But I've kind of gotten to this point where I just kind of realize that the people, like, I have never been scrolling on social media and thought to myself, like, of course I've disagreed with things, but never one time have I even been tempted to leave a comment on anything that I disagree with. Because again, I do not have the time, space, energy, capacity for that at all. And so I would rather like spread goodness, right? And just like be kind. And if I don't agree with you, then that's cool. I'll just keep scrolling. But there are some people that really feed off of that negative energy. And for whatever reason, they just need it. And I just remind myself on a regular basis that I'm just grateful I'm not that kind of a person. And sometimes, just to be spiteful, people will leave mean comments, and then I just leave $signs in return, because that's the truth. Like,
you will not grow your account unless there's some sort of like, to make successful content, your content's got to elicit a response.
And
it's got to be
people argue for months. And when I tell you months, people will be arguing in my comment sections with each other for months. And it just continues to boost your post. Like, they're not even arguing with, like, we've gotten so far past the post. They're just arguing with each other about something that is completely different now because it's been 2 months.
be like, this car is yellow. And I'm
but
like,
your
there's
success
not a
is
car in
based
this
on
video.
both.
What's going on?
And you just kind of realize, like, one of my favorite accounts on the internet is it's Jimmy Dart's account. If you don't follow him, you should. He will go through Walmart and he'll be like, let me,
Give you $5 or will you
no,
buy
he'll
this
say
chips?
anything that you can fit in this car, I'll buy it for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and he gets people's stories, and then he has a Cash App account, and his followers donate, and he's donating $50,000 to people for like their
People in
cancer
need,
treatments, etc. People still complain. People are still super rude in his comment section. And that just goes to show that people just want to be angry. And at the end of the day, I'm just really grateful that I am not the kind of person that wants to be angry.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, we could talk about this forever. Maybe we'll do a part 2 and we can kind of go into depth. If you have more questions about content creation or building an account or doing this for a living, drop them in the comments. And then obviously here's our plug for if you like it and you think that other people can benefit from it, share, comment, save, all the things. Subscribe.
Because it makes a ridiculous difference.
Makes
you guys,
a huge difference.
1 or 2 likes literally could be the difference between a video and the timing of it. It's incredible. 1 or 2 likes or 1 or 2 comments makes the difference between a video going to 100,000 views or just like sticking at 7. It's crazy.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
So if you see content, obviously do not engage or like things that you do not love or support. But if you do see content that makes you smile, is informative, gives you what you're looking for, like, comment, share, save, subscribe, follow, etc. We love having you. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week.
Yep. See ya.